This isn't even close to half of them. Rippaverse go hard. And what we're talking about today is Eric July, aka the Rippaverse.com. Something I am a huge fan of. So, of course, I'm going to be a little bit more, happy to speak on these things because he just got a shout out on the Joe Rogan podcast of all things. This is the most watched podcast, I think, in the world, if not just the United States. It's one of the biggest things ever. If you guys like anything you see here, before we go into this, please hit that subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it. And let's see exactly what happens. We will also watch the video of exactly when he gets shout out because Rippaverse on top. And I'm taking way too long. Rippaverse and Eric July getting massive shout out on the Joe Rogan Experience. Now, if you guys don't know anything about Eric July, he started out in music. He went to politics, and then he started a comic book company, and it's called the Rippaverse. He still talks about politics every once in a while. He still does music every once in a while, but that's what he's putting most of his time in right now. I've got most of his books right here. I am falling a little bit behind because they keep producing. They keep producing so much. This thing is a trend. It's okay. Maybe I should take that back. It's not even a trend. This thing is a locomotive that just keeps going forward. This is how I was introduced to the Saska sisters. This is how I was introduced to a whole lot of new artists. And a lot of new artists, people who have quote unquote no names, now have something that is making them money because they're such great artists. There's such great artistry. It brought Chuck Dixon back. It brought Joe Bennett back, all this kind of stuff. And he was named on the Joe Rogan podcast. Eric July and the Rippaverse just got a shout out on the biggest podcast on the planet, the Joe Rogan Experience. And during experience number 2457, goodness gracious, he's been doing that much. Rogan's guest, Michael Malice, brought up Eric July and the Rippaverse as a prime example of independent creators bypassing legacy gatekeepers like DC and Marvel, which he has, which is 100% true. This is something, if you guys are in the sphere, there is some gnashing of teeth, some butting of heads between other independent creators. I'm not the one to go into that. I will make my own personal comments on Twitter if I feel the need to, but I'm not going to go into that on this channel. That's not what I do. Instead, I give you the articles, I give you my takes on them, but maybe if somebody could produce a little bit more. You don't have to go through Marvel or DC. Let's go ahead and share it up. Yes, Michael Malice does look like this. This is something that's going to go on. Let's go.
Very easily. There's a guy named Eric July who has this whole kind of empire. He did a Kickstarter. He made like $1 million for his first one. It's called the Rippaverse. And now they're at a point where you don't have to go through DC or Marvel to produce your product. So I'm super excited about it. Again, I started this in 2000, and now it's finally 26 years later coming to fruition. So
awesome.
Unwantedbook.com.
All right.
I'm just really kind of, it's very intense. This, because here's the other thing. What I was at Gold's, and I had basically what was the opposite of a nervous breakdown, where all the parts of my brain slid into place, where I realized this story I wrote in 2001, what happens if you do all these things, try to be original and go nowhere? Like, those are my fears when I was starting out. What if I end up like them, have nothing to show for it?
And that is just a beautiful sentiment right there. Now, first of all, I don't care what you look like. You're not going to find me like making fun of him. Well, maybe on a live stream wherever we have a few brewskis in us and everything. I'm not going to make fun of the way that he looks. Michael Malice actually sounds like a very familiar name. I can't bring it off the top of my head, and we're not going to do this in this video, but there was stories that he was sitting on, and he just had this stress in him. It's like, I don't know if anyone's going to like it. And what Eric proved is like, here's something that I like. Here's something that I created. Let's go all out on a whim and make it happen. Eric made it happen, and he turned it into a very successful business. And that's what everyone should be doing. This just shows that Eric is an inspiration to Michael Malice. He's an inspiration to a lot of people. He's an inspiration to the artists that are coming in. He's an inspiration to the people who he hires who actually get like some chances to write for him. We could talk about Rippaverse, which is something where he basically designed like a production company where you can bring in your own stuff. He'll help promote it. He is an entrepreneur. And it all started with him basically putting years of work and savings into trying to start a company. It was hit or miss. It was just like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, of which we're taking from this article right now on the Geeks and Gamers website. It was just someone who was just like, you know what? This is my passion. I'm going to put everything into it. And you know what? It hit like wildfire. It does hit like wildfire. Here's the exact quote from Michael Malice in the episode. There's a guy named Eric July who has this whole kind of empire. He did a Kickstarter. He made like $1 million. Actually, it was like more like 3.7 or was it 4.2? I can't remember right off the top of my head for his first one. Maybe that was just after taxes and after all the other things that he said. Like Rippa himself made $1 million. It was a lot. It's called the Rippaverse, and now they're at a point where they don't have to go through DC or Marvel to produce your product because DC and Marvel has sucked for quite a long time. Most of my comics, actually, I've found the ones that I like the most are from Dark Horse or Top Cow, but they're also like 10 years old. Funny how that works. Funny how all the new stuff just isn't selling or anything like that. Funny, isn't it? What's especially notable here was that the mention of the Rippaverse and the Joe Rogan Experience wasn't framed as controversial or as part of some kind of culture war drama, even though other people on the internet will try to do that. Well, they are trying to do that every single day, and some have got arrested for it. Don't worry, I saw that one firsthand. Hail to you, Dallas, and everybody who was there at that one. It was presented as proof that independent creators can build something massive outside of the mainstream comic machine. Thank you. That's what we need. What we need. We need independent comics. There's someone else, and I can't think of it off the top of my head. Oh my gosh, I talk to him on Twitter all the time, who is putting out his own independent comics. He inks them himself, and then someone else writes them, and I feel really bad that I can't pick up his name off the top of my head. But that's the key. Here's why this Rippaverse Joe Rogan shout out matters. The Joe Rogan Experience is not just a podcast. It's arguably the single biggest long-form entertainment platform in the world, which is true. That is 100% correct. Yes, we know Marvin Montanaro, even though he's a horrible gamer, we do know that he is mostly based with everything that he says. He does his research, and he words things in a very good way most of the time. It has millions of listeners, a global reach, and cultural influence across politics, sports, comedy, tech, and entertainment. Yes, Joe Rogan leaves no stone unturned. We know this. When something gets mentioned on JRE, Joe Rogan Experience, it enters the mainstream conversation. And that's why they were using Sports Frame and they still couldn't catch him because he's just so happy. Eric July, I've met him multiple times in real life. So yes, this you could say that I'm biased in making this, but yes, he is an awesome man. He is very respectful. When he met my woman, wouldn't even touch her. Like, not touch her as anything like that. Like we all give hugs. We're from the South. We give hugs. He wouldn't even touch her. He just bowed to her. Like, oh, it's great to meet you. I know your man over here because I've met him multiple times. That's how fucking respectful Eric July is. Eric July is a man of the people. He's also a man after the project of let's entertain people. Let's put out comics. Let's try to develop video games. Let's put out some animatics, or maybe not even animatics, but animations. Let's try to get into films. Like, if you guys want it and we can have it funded, we will do it, and we'll always be on time. That's what Eric is. This wasn't a niche YouTube stream or a comic book podcast. This was a casual, organic shout out during a conversation. Yes, that's another thing that I wanted to point out, was that this guy wasn't asked about it. It was not a leading question. He had it in the back of his brain because he knows how big of a movement the Rippaverse is, and he's putting it out there. hey, shameless plug. I would do the same thing because Michael Malice doesn't work for Rippaverse. Just so you guys know, I guess I need to make that disclaimer just so you guys know. Also, before I wrap this up, because we don't need to go into the rise of Rippaverse and everything like that. Anybody who watches this channel knows that I'm a huge fan. There is something that is funny to me when I went to the comic book shop today. I found some Rippaverse comics. And guess what they were being resold for? Oh, you won't guess. Basically, okay, I pre-order most of mine, but they were basically being sold for the same price as pre-order, which means they have high value even when someone's ready to, maybe they move on. Like, that's how you get back issues most of the time anyway. They were selling at that price and they were under lock and key. But I did find some Rippaverse comics and let's see. So this is one of the ones, the exact same. Don't worry, I've had this for like freaking 2 years. I've done reviews on it. I didn't buy any of them today because I own them all already. This is one, and this one has a heart from Jen and Sylvia Saska whenever the last time that I saw them. And then what was the other one? Because they only had 3. Apparently someone was just trying to move and get out. No, it was Isom 2. Yeah. This one, which I have signed by Eric July himself. So I know, so you know that I didn't pick them up there. They only had 3 or 4 of them there, and they were all under lock and key, and they were all going for like $25. Rippaverse on top. That's what I got to say. If you guys have anything to say, leave it down in the comment section below. Also, you won't be able to make any kind of jokes about this because the other person doesn't even put out their content anyway. So, how could it be in a recycle bin if there's nothing to recycle? This is Multi from Mouth and Multi. We love you. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for coming out. Is that my old Star Wars one that's showing up in the background? I think it is. On the other side of me, though, because this is mirrored. Bye. And also bye.